Hi kids! Today we're going to learn how to draw a cute tree with heart fruits, heart-shaped butterflies, and heart-shaped flowers. This is a fun Valentine's Day drawing that you can practice with your family. All right, so let's get started. So for this drawing, we'll need blue, red, green, and brown, and maybe a couple other colors. So let's first draw the shape of the tree. Kind of looks like a triangle a little bit. We're drawing the tree trunk and the tree roots. So you can see that there's these two roots that go down into the soil. And then you've got some grass there where the root goes down into it. So the tree has some roots there. Very good. Now let's see, what do we want to color next? We probably should color the rest of the outline of the tree. So we'll draw these two branches, these two big branches. And then we're going to have these little edges there for where the leaves will be. And then we're gonna have to fill out the top so that it's nice and full with lots and lots of leaves. So we've got these kind of jagged edges as if there were hundreds or thousands of leaves there. There we go. You can see we're making the shape of a heart. The tree's in the shape of a heart-shaped tree. That's kind of fun. I bet you haven't seen one of those before, probably. All right, what should we color next? Should we color the bark? Should we color the hearts on the tree? Yeah, it kind of looks like an apple tree, but instead of apples, it has little hearts on the tree. So we'll color in these hearts. There we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hearts, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Should we stop there? Does that look well balanced? Or add one more? 21. There we go. So we have 21 little hearts on the tree. It's the coolest Valentine's Day tree you've ever seen. All right, let's color the grass now. So we'll put these jagged lines on the ground for the grass. There we go. And what do we want to color next? Let's color some more grass in the background of the tree, and then underneath it, and in front of it. And let's see, what can I teach you about trees? So you'll see on the tree, you've got the tree trunk, which is the middle part of the tree. And that's the big, thick, tall part. And then you have the tree roots. And those are the two things that go down into the ground. And then they branch out into a lot of smaller roots. And so the roots, what they do is they're kind of like straws that go into the ground and they absorb nutrients from the dirt and liquid water from the dirt, and they send the roots kind of suck up those nutrients and they send them up the tree trunk, and they help the tree to grow and to build the new branches and to grow the leaves and the fruits. And then you know what the leaves do at the top of the tree? So the leaves are green and they absorb sunlight and oxygen. They produce oxygen. They breathe in carbon dioxide, and then they breathe out oxygen, essentially. And so the more trees you have on the earth, on the planet, the better the air is, the more oxygen there is for people to breathe. Trees and plants help to filter the air and clean the air. So that's why it's important that we take care of trees, one of the reasons. So, and one thing that's really cool about the leaves on the tree is they use something called photosynthesis. Can you say photosynthesis? So photosynthesis is when a leaf gets sunlight and it converts the sunlight into energy for the plant, and it helps the plant grow. That's called photosynthesis. You should go tell your mommy and daddy photosynthesis. They'd be so impressed that you're learning about that. All right, so here you can see we're coloring these flowers. We've got a bunch of flowers, and now we're drawing these butterflies. But guess what? What shape are the butterflies in? Are they in the shape of a circle, a square, an oval, a rectangle, a heart? What shape are the butterflies in? They're in the shape of a heart. Isn't that kind of fun? So this is very much a Valentine's Day picture for kids. This is fun, huh? All right, what should we color next? Let's color another heart. Let's count how many butterflies there are. You want to help me? Ready? So let's start at the left. 1, 2, 3. And on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 plus 5 is 8. There are 8 butterflies in this picture so far. All right, now we're going to add texture, these lines to the tree trunk, to the bark. The bark is like the tree's skin. It's thick, and it helps protect the tree from insects and animals. It also helps protect the tree from bad weather. Those are all these wonderful perks of having a tree trunk with thick bark. Some bark on trees is very thin and smooth. Other kind of bark on trees is very thick and rough. There's all sorts of different kinds of trees. Did you know that there's some trees that have wood that's just as heavy as metal and feels just as hard as metal? They're called hardwoods. There's hardwood. Like, for example, if you go to California, sometimes there's those really, really big trees, and sometimes inside of those trees is a very, very heavy, very, very strong hardwood. That's kind of an interesting fact, huh? So let's color in these hearts on the tree. Kind of look like apples in the shape of hearts, red apples, maybe red delicious apples. Delicious. All right. What should we color next? Oh, look at the bark. Do you see what's in the middle of the bark on the tree? See what shape that is? How there's a heart there? That's kind of fun. All right, so now we're going to color in the leaves with this lime green color, this light green. So we're going to color in the leaves with this green, this bright green, this light green color. Have you ever seen how big some leaves can get? There's some leaves that are very big, and there's other leaves that are very, very small. I've seen some leaves. Did you know that a banana tree has very big leaves? In fact, they're so big that in some cultures, in some countries, people will eat their food and they'll use leaves, banana leaves, instead of plates. Because they're so big, they'll just make sure they're clean, and then they'll put like rice on it. My wife, she went on a mission to the Philippines, and they would eat food on banana leaves in the Philippines sometimes. That's kind of cool. So instead of using a paper plate, you could just use a banana leaf and from a banana tree, because they're so big. Yeah, there's all sorts of different kinds of leaves. A lot of the leaves where I'm from, they're smaller, and when it gets cold outside, the leaves will turn to brown. They'll go yellow and then orange and red and then brown, and they'll fall down to the ground. Some of them even turn purple. And then once they fall to the ground, you can rake them up with a rake into a big pile. You put them all in a big pile, and then you can jump in the pile of leaves, and that's really fun. All right, so let's continue coloring the rest of this tree with this green color. There we go. This lime green color. You can see we're getting pretty close to filling in all the rest of this heart tree. There we go. Did you know one interesting fact about trees is there's a kind of tree called a maple tree. And I don't know if you've ever had maple syrup, but maple syrup comes from maple trees. So a certain kind of tree, what they do is they drill a hole in past the bark into the tree, and then they put this tube in it. And that tree leaks out, it's called sap. So maple sap is this sticky stuff. And then what it will do, you can take the sap that drips into a bucket that's hanging on the side of a tree, and they take that and they'll pour it in to a big pot that's maybe over a fire or on a stove, and it boils it. And they boil the sap and they turn it into maple syrup, which is so yummy. In fact, I went to a place once where they showed us a bunch of maple trees. So we had all of these trees with these buckets hanging from the trees that were collecting sap. And then they showed us where they cooked the sap to turn it into maple syrup. And then they would even make these maple candies that were just super duper sugary and yummy. It was maple candy is so sugary. It's really good. I don't know if you've ever had a maple donut, but some donuts have maple icing on top that tastes really yummy. Yeah, maple icing is really good. So, all right, let's just keep on drawing and see how far we can get on this. So we're coloring in the grass. And grass comes in all shapes and sizes. Well, there's different colors of grass. Some grass is thicker, other grass is thinner. Some is more blue, some is more green. There's different types of grass that you can buy, and you can either buy it in a roll and roll it out on your lawn, or you can buy seeds and you can put out the seeds and water the seeds on the ground, and it will grow grass. And I remember when I moved to where I live now, there's lots of grass, and what they do is you'll buy a big roll of grass, of turf, and they'll roll it out like a carpet, and then you'll water it, and it will start to build the roots down into the ground. I thought that was really interesting because where I'm from, it's a lot more wet and there's a lot more rain, and the grass grows a lot more naturally. You don't have to buy a big roll. You could just get some seeds and it would like grow really easily. But right now I live in Utah, where it's kind of like a desert, and so it's a little bit harder to grow trees and certain kinds of plants because the desert doesn't get a lot of water. So anyway, well, we just colored in the plants with this light green color. Let's see, what should we do now? We could color in the tree trunk with brown. Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll color in the tree trunk with the color brown. There we go. This should be pretty quick. Awesome. Can you make that noise? Can you go? There we go. We're coloring in the bark of the tree. I'm trying to make the noise of a marker. There we go. All right, we've got the tree mostly colored in now, but now we need to color the background. There's a sky there that we could color. There's the butterflies. There's the hearts floating in the air. We've got the flowers we need to color in. Let's see. Let's color the flower petals. And these might be tulips. tulip flowers. There's different kinds of flowers. There's all sorts of kinds. In fact, there are classes at school that you can take when you get older where you learn about all sorts of different kinds of flowers. There's roses, there's tulips, there's dandelions, there's lilacs, there's all sorts of kinds of flowers, and the flowers have different shapes and colors, and they're different sizes, and they have different smells. I once saw a flower. It was really pretty. It kind of had a thick stem. It was really tall, and then it looked like a bird. The flower kind of at the top looked like in the shape of a bird, and it was really pretty flower. I can't remember what it was called, but those classes, I was in a class taking notes for someone in a class called Floral Design. Do you know what floral means? Floral means flowers, about flowers. So floral design is how you kind of design flowers and put them together to make really pretty bouquets or groups of flowers that you can give to people. Because lots of people buy those flowers on Valentine's Day or on their birthday or on an anniversary to show who they love, that they really appreciate them. All right, so we just colored in these butterflies. Next, what should we color? Should we color in the heart or the background? Let's color in the background. All right, and while we're doing this coloring, why don't we speed this up so that we'll be right with you. So just keep on watching, but we're gonna speed up this process so you can see it get colored in very quickly. All right, so here we go. Whoa, can you imagine coloring in that fast? That's pretty incredible, huh? We're fast forwarding it by 4 times. So we're coloring it in 4 times faster than what you would normally see, than real time, than normal time. So we're gonna just color it in. Can you try to make the noise that a marker would make? Kind of would sound like the wind, huh? At this pace. All right, so we're gonna color all around these butterflies. We don't want to color them the color of the sky, else they'd be invisible, or they'd blend in, they'd be camouflaged. And did you know that there's some animals that are camouflaged? There's some kinds of lizards, for example, that can change colors, and there's some kinds of fish that can, animals in the water that can change colors. So if someone's trying to find them, they can just change color or shape, and then whoever's looking for them can't see them because they look like a rock. Wouldn't that be cool if you could just, if you wanted to, you could pretend to be a rock, and people would look at you and see a rock, and they wouldn't be able to tell it's you. There's some animals that can do that. It's really quite incredible. Some animals have really powerful abilities. Even humans, we have amazing abilities that we've been given. We're so blessed. Life is amazing. All right, so we're going to finish coloring in this sky with this blue here. So we'll color around these butterflies. And we're getting pretty close to being done. So just to kind of wrap up, so we just used the colors blue, green, red, brown, pink, and then dark pink for this drawing. Anyway, we have new pictures every single day. So when you go on YouTube, you can just subscribe to our channel, and when you go to YouTube, you can see that we have new pictures every day, and where you can learn so much about the world around you and learn how to draw at the same time. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, because tomorrow we'll have a new picture as well. In fact, we might have a picture of a cottage or a really cool looking house that you don't want to miss. So anyway, that will be fun to do that tomorrow. So let's finish drawing in the sky here. Just finish coloring it in. And then we got to think, is there anything we're missing? Anything after we color in the sky that we need to do? Or is that about it? Let's see, we'll finish coloring it right there. There we go. Well, I think we're just about good. So thank you so much for joining us. Hi friends, today we're going to learn how to draw a Valentine's Day scene. So this scene has a heart picture, another heart picture with a frame around it, and a vase with red roses, flowers in it. And it also has some chocolate kisses on the table. Alright, let's get started. So we're going to start off by drawing that vase. So a vase is like a big, tall cup, kind of like a jug that could hold milk or that could hold juice. And now let's draw little flowers here, and draw another rose. You can tell it's a rose because it kind of has a little squiggly, like it kind of, you look at the middle of it and there's all these petals that kind of wrap around each other and like swirl. So we're going to draw another rose. We have 4 roses. You know what they call a group of rose flowers? They call it a bouquet. A bouquet of flowers is when you have a big bunch of roses all tied together. That's called a bouquet of flowers. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roses right now. And now let's draw these leaves. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. They'll often take these, when they have an arrangement, they call it a floral arrangement. Floral just means flower, essentially. And an arrangement is just when you get a bunch of flowers and you arrange them with some other plants to make them look very nice and pretty. So often what they'll do is they'll put roses in a vase, and then they'll put in some other stems or leaves from other plants that kind of add some colors and kind of fill out the vase and the floral arrangement. And then it looks really, really pretty. And what people often will do is on Valentine's Day, which is coming up, it's on February 14th. It's the same day every year, just like your birthday is the same day every year. February 14th is always Valentine's Day. So on Valentine's Day, people will buy flowers and they'll give them to their spouses if they're married, their husband or their wife, or their girlfriend or their fiance, or their boyfriend. Yeah, so I actually gave my wife some flowers not too long ago. I went to the store and I bought some flowers because I wanted to show her that I love her. And sometimes giving gifts is a really good way to do that. Alright, what should we draw next? Maybe we could add a little bit of a design to the front of the vase, like some sort of a picture, so it's not just white. Maybe we can add some sort of a pattern. So we'll put these little squiggly lines there, going across, wrapping around the vase, and then we'll draw a heart shape on the front of it. So this is probably the most Valentine romantic vase you've ever seen. So we'll draw a little edge there. These nice little squiggly line designs that looks like it's wrapped around with a band or just painted the design. So do you know what vases are made out of? Vases, or these jugs, are often ceramic, kind of like a rock, or a tile. Have you ever walked on a tile floor? They're very hard. Also, often dishes, like bowls, are often ceramic, and often what they'll do is they'll make the shape of a jug by having this clay that's moldable, and they'll make a shape. They'll put it on a spinning disc, on a spinning plate, and it's called a potter's wheel, I'm pretty sure. And then what it does is it spins the lump of clay around, and you as the potter, you as the person making the vase or the pottery, can use your hands to kind of hollow out a cup. or a vase, and you get to make the shape. And then once it's made, once you have the shape made, then you just take it and you put it into an oven that's very hot. And the oven cooks it. So it turns it from this clay, which is kind of like a soft, silky mud that's really smooth. It turns it from that clay into pottery, and it becomes very hard. And then what sometimes people will do is they'll take this enamel or this kind of coating. They'll often paint on it first, colors. Like, so we'll probably paint or color in that heart red. So they'll color whatever pictures they want on their pottery or their jug or their vase or their cup, whatever they're making, their bowl. And then they'll put this clear thing called enamel on the outside of the pottery. And then they'll put it in the oven and they'll bake it again. And that hardens that clear, it almost looks like glass. It hardens it, so it looks like glass and it's all shiny and pretty. Anyway, so that's kind of how they make, like we see in the picture, that's kind of how they make these jugs or pottery. It used to all be done by hand, but now there's machines that are very expensive and big that can mass produce all sorts of different kinds of dishes. So they're not always man-made now. They're probably made mostly by machines, with people kind of helping to do the process with the machine. So on the table you can see there is a Valentine note or Valentine's Day card, and there's also some chocolates. It looks like Hershey's Chocolate Kisses, and that's just, it's in the shape of like a teardrop, and if you it's surrounded by this shiny wrapper, this metal wrapper, and when you open it up, then there's a little chocolate piece about the size of your thumb that is in the shape of a tear or a drop, and those are really yummy. In fact, I've had several different kinds of Hershey's Chocolate Kisses. So they have the normal milk chocolate, they have dark chocolate, and they also have milk chocolate filled with caramel or with other flavors. There's all sorts of, they probably even have a peppermint flavored one. There's probably a lot of different kinds of chocolate that they sell Hershey's Chocolate Kisses in. And then on the wall you can see we're drawing this picture portrait. So one is of a heart, a big heart. So you have this rectangle picture portrait. So rectangle is like a skinny or a tall square, or a wide square. And in this second portrait, let's draw some hearts, some smaller hearts, kind of set the mood a little bit. Maybe this is something that, you know, if I got home before my wife, I might set up the table all special with some roses and some chocolates and a nice note card. Now I wonder, you see that card on the table? I wonder what that says in it. That might say, because you could write a card for your family or for your friends, and you might say things that you really like about them, things that you admire about them, nice things that they've done for you or that you want to do for them. Those are all ways that you can let someone know that you care about them and you love them on Valentine's Day. And of course you don't have to wait until Valentine's Day. It can be just as special to do something like this any day of the year. And it's good to let your parents do things like this because it helps them feel happy and to love each other and to be happy and to love you. So let's color in these roses red, this beautiful red color. So draw these roses red. Very good. Look at that. They're beautiful. Did you know I used to live in this mobile home trailer park, and there were all of these rose bushes all around the trailer park, and it was so pretty. There was roses of all sorts of colors, and it was nice because if you needed a rose, you could just take one rose, and there was hundreds of roses, and and you could give it to someone and tell them how you love them. So we'll draw this band around the vase, red as well. And this other one, we'll color that in with the color red. There we go. All right, and you could always, you could color it whatever color you want to. You could color it blue. It's just the traditional color for hearts and things like that is red. So let's see what we want to color in next. We could color in the table. We could color in the leaves. Why don't we color in these leaves? It kind of looks like ferns. Ferns is a certain kind of plant that have these green leaves that are kind of long and kind of jagged on the edges, kind of like you see in the picture, how there's kind of the edges that are kind of serrated or jagged. Those kind of look like ferns to me. So maybe they took some roses and then they put in some green ferns to kind of accent or bring out the roses, color and shape. So let's see, what else can I tell you about? Maybe I can tell you about chocolate. See the chocolates on the table, those candies? So those are called Hershey's Chocolate Kisses. So Hershey's is the brand name. That's the company that makes lots of chocolate. There's a few companies that make a lot of chocolate, and Hershey's is one of them. So they've got these chocolate kisses. And did you know that chocolate, in chocolate candies, there's something called cocoa. Cocoa is this brown powder, and it's kind of like the heart of chocolate. So there's things called cocoa beans. So there's places in the world where cocoa beans will grow on plants, and then people will get these cocoa beans and they'll roast them, and they'll turn them into cocoa powder. And they'll even get the oils out of them, and they'll take that and turn it into cocoa butter. And so when you're eating a chocolate, the chocolate that you have has probably cocoa powder, cocoa butter, and lots of sugar. Chocolate's not the most healthy because it has a lot of sugar and a lot of fat. And if you have too much fat, it can actually not be good for your heart. Your veins can get clogged up if you have too much fat in your system, and chocolate has a lot of fat, and that's why it melts in your mouth, because there's these fats that are solid, but when you put them into a warm place like your mouth, then they melt, and that's called a saturated fat. A saturated fat is one of these fats that is solid typically, but then if you get them a little bit warmer, they melt and they become liquid. Anyway, that's a few interesting facts about chocolate. Also, if I'm correct, chocolate has a certain thing in it called theobromine. Can you say theobromine? So theobromine makes you feel really happy, and it gives you that love feeling that people associate with chocolate. Because there's so much theobromine in it. There's also a little bit of caffeine in chocolate as well, but there's a lot more theobromine than caffeine. They're both stimulants. A stimulant is something that makes your body feel awake and alert and excited and feel good, kind of. They stimulate you. They're called stimulants. So those are some interesting facts about chocolate and what chocolate is made out of. Did you know that sometimes chocolates can get expensive right before a holiday? So if you want to go to the store and buy chocolates, they're often more expensive right around, Valentine's Day. But then right after a holiday like Valentine's Day or Easter or Christmas, you'll often see these big sales where they'll be the store will be trying to sell a lot of candy for really cheap. So they'll sell a big bar of chocolate candy for really, really inexpensively. And that's because people, after the holidays, they're not as into buying chocolate for the holiday, but right up until the holiday and on the holiday, they'll often buy chocolates to give as gifts to other people. So that's another interesting thing about chocolates. Let's see. Did you know that roses smell very nice? A lot of flowers smell really nice. What else can I teach you about? Why don't we talk about the hearts? So you see the hearts? So every person has a heart inside of them. And do you know what the heart does? The heart's a muscle that kind of like gets bigger and smaller. It contracts and expands, and it pumps blood through your body. So you know how you have veins that look kind of bluish or purplish? The heart is what's pushing that blood, pumping it through your body, helping get the blood to circulate, and that helps give your body oxygen and energy and help it be warm and regulated. And so it's very important to take good care of your heart. Some things you can do to take care of your heart are to eat vegetables and fruits, to drink water, to not eat things with lots of fat in them, or sugar. Those things can kind of cause problems for your heart. To eat, oatmeal or Cheerios, the kind of cereal that's not sugary, those are things that help your heart to be healthy. So if your mommy or your daddy ask you to eat something at dinner time, you probably should do it because it will help your heart be healthy. If they're telling you to eat a vegetable, they're probably telling you to eat the vegetable because they want your heart and the rest of your body to be healthy. And the more healthy the food you eat, the more healthy your body can be, because your body takes all of the good things inside of the food and it processes it for your body. It takes out the vitamins and the minerals and the energy and converts it so your body can use it. So that's another interesting fact about hearts. So let's see, what else should we talk about? So, well, let's think. What can you do this Valentine's Day? How can you show someone else that you really care about them? How can you make someone feel special? Can you do something nice for someone else? Can you give them some candies or homemade cookies? Can you write them a nice letter? Can you go and give them a hug and tell them thank you for being my friend? Or for being my mommy and daddy? All those things are different ways that you can show someone that you love them on Valentine's Day. So kids, I invite you to do something really nice today. To go and try to find your mommy or your daddy or your brother or sister and give them hugs and tell them that you love them. Say, I love you. Thank you for being my friend. And you know what? That will make them feel so, so happy, and it'll make you feel happy too. So that's the challenge for today, to go out there and try to be really nice to someone this Valentine's Day and today as you're listening to this video. Alright, so we'll color in the rest of this wooden table. Got this circular wooden table. It looks like an oval. There we go. We'll color in the tabletop with this brown color. There we go. Color the table leg in with brown. And let's see, what are we missing? What else should we color in? How about we'll color in these picture frames? We'll make them wooden picture frames. Now these are wooden picture frames, and I'd say a lot of picture frames are wooden, but some are actually metal. Did you know that? And some are really big and expensive and have glass in front of them. Some are cheaper, have plastic. There's all sorts of different types of picture frames, but it's important to be careful with picture frames and not to play with them, because if they fall off the wall, they're fragile. Do you know what fragile means? Fragile means that if they fall and hit the ground or get lots of pressure or impact, that they can break. And that wouldn't be fun. That would make mommy and daddy probably very sad if their picture frame broke. So It's always a good idea to not touch the picture frames in general as a child, because they're held up with this little itty bitty nail behind it that it's kind of hooked onto. And so if you touch it just a little bit, it can fall off really easily. Another interesting thing about picture frames, so they can fall off really easily, and if there's ever an earthquake, it's important to not go near things like picture frames that can fall off the walls and land on you and hit you and bop you in the head. That wouldn't be fun. So let's draw the bottom of the wall there with this horizontal line. Horizontal means it goes sideways. A line that's vertical means it goes up and down. So we're gonna color in with this pink. Maybe we have this pink colored carpet. That's kind of a funny idea. Have you ever seen a pink carpet before? I don't think I've seen a pink carpet. Well, maybe I have. But like our carpet's more of a tan, yellow, or brown color. Sometimes there's green carpets or red carpets, brown carpets. Yeah, there's all sorts of different types of carpets. Some carpets are very plain. Others have lots of patterns. Some are really poofy and soft. Others are really skinny and hard, kind of. Not poofy. They're thin. They don't have the padding. So anyway, I think that about wraps up our Valentine's drawing for today. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have new videos coming out every day. And just like I mentioned before, I invite you to do something really nice for someone right now. Go find your mommy or daddy and give them a hug and tell them you love them. All right, thanks. Bye-bye. Hi friends, today we are going to learn how to draw a log cabin in the woods. We're going to need the colors blue, green, brown, and gray for this drawing. If you don't have these colors, you can use another color. All right, let's jump in. So, first off, let's draw the top of the cabin. We'll have this kind of bent rectangle there for the roof. Now, let's draw the sides and the bottom of the cabin, the floor and the walls. And here we'll put in a little cabin door with a door handle. It's always a good thing, else you wouldn't be able to open up the door. And now let's draw the logs on the log cabin. So you do that by just drawing lines over to the side. Just nice and horizontal, parallel lines that are going in the same direction. And let's see, are we going to build more logs on top? Let's put in a window first. So we'll draw in one window there, and we'll draw in another window over here. And now window panes often have pieces of wood that help to reinforce the windows. So we're going to have the two pieces of wood in the middle of the window that help to give the window more strength. So that way if a lot of wind blows on the window doesn't break and get into broken glass, because broken glass is really dangerous, and then it wouldn't be as warm and rain could get inside of the cabin. So let's make sure we do that. So we're going to draw the logs now all the way to the roof. Just draw it nice and straight. And I love cabins. Growing up, I have some good memories sleeping in cabins. I think it's almost as fun as sleeping in a tent, honestly. Maybe even more fun sometimes. All right, what should we draw now? How about we'll draw a chimney? That way we can have a fireplace inside, and we can put in wood into the fire, in the fireplace, and the chimney allows the smoke to go out. So chimneys actually make cabins and houses more safe, because fires have smoke, and smoke isn't good to breathe. Now we're gonna write school on the front of this door. Did you know that back in the old days, back when your grandparents or great grandparents were children, that some of them used to have school in buildings that looked like this. They'd call them schoolhouses. It's like a really small school where they would have one room and there'd be tables and there'd be a teacher who would teach them about all sorts of things. Now we're going to draw above the chimney. You can see there's a pillar of smoke, billowing smoke. It looks like a cloud. All right, how about we'll draw some stones there. It's going to be kind of like these round stones that are leading up to the door. It's a little stone path or walkway. That way, if it's raining outside, you can walk on stone to stone, and it's not as muddy as if you're just walking on dirt, because wet dirt would be really muddy. So now we'll draw a tree. We'll draw some branches there. And now after that, let's draw the leaves around it. But instead of drawing one leaf at a time, we're going to just draw this kind of cloud around it, and later we're going to color it. But you could draw individual leaves if you wanted. It would just be a little bit more tricky to do. All right, so we have some roots coming out of the tree. The roots actually go into dirt, and they help the tree to get nutrients, to get food from the dirt. And that food, that energy, those nutrients, and the water also comes up through the roots. That all helps the tree to grow. If it didn't have water or roots, the tree couldn't grow, but it does. So that's a happy thing. All right, there we go. We have a little grass on the right side there. Now let's do some other trees in the background. And when you have trees in the background, it looks a little bit skinnier and a little smaller, because the farther away something is, the more small it gets. So we'll draw on the tree. We're texturing the bark. The bark is like the exterior or the outside part of the tree trunk. It's like the skin of the tree. It's called bark, not like a dog, but like a tree, tree trunk. Okay, let's draw another tree. We'll do some leaves around it. There we go. We'll texture it with some marks on it. The bark actually helps protect trees from bears or from animals that might scratch it, and also from the weather. Like if there's snow outside, the bark actually helps the tree to be okay. All right, let's draw another tree over here on the other side of this log cabin schoolhouse. And we'll have a couple roots there. Now we're just drawing one root going one side and the other. That's all you can see. But actually, real trees, they have lots of roots, like hundreds of little roots springing out of the bigger roots. All right, now we're going to draw the grass line there. And let's draw a couple more little trees in the background. Just like we did on the right side, let's do that on the left side as well. Okay, so we got to draw the leaves, and then we got to texture the bark. Remember, bark is another word for the skin of a tree. Like you have skin, and trees have skin too, to help keep them safe and protected. Kind of like a coat to keep them protected from all the snow and the rain and the sun and the ants and the animals. So there we go. We have 6 trees. Can you count with me? 1, 2, 3 on the left side, and then 1, 2, 3 on the right side. So there's 6 trees in total. And then we have a few stepping stones leading up to the doorway. All right. Now what should we draw? We could draw something else, or we could start coloring it. We could color. How about let's color the logs? Let's color the logs brown. So you color in the logs. Just stay inside the black lines as much as possible. Brown's a good color. Wood is often brown or tan. But really, if you don't have brown, you could color any color you wanted to. One time I had a friend who, instead of coloring a tree brown, she colored it purple. And that was kind of funny, but you can just have fun. One of the most important parts of coloring is having fun and trying new things. because you don't know how well something works until you try it. All right, so we're going to color not inside the windows. We don't want to have brown windows. That would be silly. We want to have brown logs around the windows. So we'll just keep on coloring in those logs. There we go. Did you know that there are different types of wood? There are hardwoods that are very hard and heavy. And then there's light woods like pine. Pine is a type of tree wood that isn't very heavy, but it's also quite strong. But there's some trees, like in the Amazon rainforest or in California, there's these really big trees that have really hard wood, and it feels like almost as hard as a rock. And they're almost as heavy as a rock too. In fact, they're probably heavier than some types of rock. And often they're dark and hard. Like I think one of the names of one of the hardwoods is called mahogany, which is expensive, but it's a hard, really powerful, strong, heavy wood. So not all wood's the same. Some wood is flexible and bendy. Other wood's very rigid and hard. Some wood is heavy. Other wood is light. And some wood would probably, float in the water. But there's some wood that would be so heavy, it would be more dense than the water, and it would actually sink in the water. So there's all sorts of types of woods. Woods that houses are built of, cabins are often built with logs. And they'll often interlock the logs at the corner of the house where they'll lay one log and then they'll lay another log in the other direction where it lays on top of the other log. Kind of like Legos. Like you'd stack Legos on top of each other, you could stack logs on top of each other. All right, looks like we just have a few more logs to color in. So let's get those colored in. All right, looks like there's 1, 2, 3 more logs to color in, and then we can color in something else. Let's think, what should we color in after we finish coloring in the logs on the cabin? We could color in the roof. We could color in the windows or the window pane. Oh, let's get the handle brown there. And we can color around the sign that says school, because that's cool. And I just rhymed. Yeah, that was a good rhyme, huh? So we're going to color around the word school. You can see how it's spelled. It's SCHOOL. It's kind of small and hard to see, but that's how you spell school. School, like a schoolhouse cabin where grandma and grandpa might go to school back when they would work on the farm. So let's now color in the door. It's kind of like an orange color or a light brown. So we're going to use this color and we're going to color in the door. So the door is a different color than the logs. Now it could be a different type of wood. Maybe the handle is the same type of wood as the rest of the cabin, but maybe the door is a different type of wood. Maybe it's a lighter weight wood, like pine. And we're going to color in these window frames. There we go. Let's also color the roof this kind of color. So we're going to fill in. You can see the roof, it looks like 2 long rectangles that are connected and bent at the very top. And so we're going to color up all the way to the peak, or that pointy part, the peak of the building. And now we're going to color all the way down. Whee! Oh, that's so much fun. There we go. All right, let's think. Should we color the trees next? Or the walkway? How about let's color the chimney? So we'll color the chimney in with this color brown. There we go. The chimney could be made out of bricks or out of cement. And all right, let's color in the letters SC, and then H, and then O, L. There we go. School. S-C-H-O-O-L. School. S-k-ool. School is cool. Yeah. There we go. And the H in school is actually silent. So you pronounce the S and the C and the O's and the L, but the H is just there just to look good, I guess. All right. What should we color next? Should we do the stone pathway, the stepping stones? Should we color behind the log cabin? Should we color the trees? What do you want to color? Let's see. All right. How about we'll color these stones, the stone pathway, little stepping stones. Have you ever jumped from stone to stone? That's a fun game, huh? You have to be careful though that it's a flat stone, else you could slip and fall off really easy. And if the stone's wet, it could get slippery and that could hurt. So you've got to be careful, but jumping from stone to stone like a frog could actually be really fun. As if like you're jumping onto a lily pad. We're also going to use the same color, gray, to color the smoke above the chimney. So we'll just color this in. There we go. Whoa, I don't want to breathe that smoke in the chimney. That wouldn't be good. That would be bad for your lungs and for your body. So we want to avoid that. That's why we have a chimney. So that way we don't breathe the smoke in the cabin. It gives a place for the smoke to leave. So it doesn't make it toxic for us to breathe inside of the cabin, but it can help keep us warm in the winter time or at night when it's cold. All right, let's see. What do we want to color next? We could color the trees or the grass. What if we colored the grass purple? Wouldn't that be funny? Or we could color the tree trunks. Well, let's just color the grass green because that's what a lot of grass is usually green. In fact, did you know that the color green is a color that a lot of plants are? Pretty much a lot of things that are living, a lot of plants have green. Now there's plants that have different colors like red and yellow and orange, like flowers. But you'll still notice even on flowers, the stems and the leaves are usually green. Trees, their leaves are often green as well. Now, a tree, sometimes their leaves will change colors, like they'll turn yellow and orange and red when it starts getting colder outside around fall or autumn. But the reason when they're green, plants have these, they can take sunlight, and the green stuff helps them to convert the sunlight into energy, into like food for the grass. So like somehow grass kind of like eats the sunlight, kind of. As well as they have roots, just like the trees have roots, grass also has roots. And those roots go down into the dirt and they help absorb nutrients or vitamins and minerals and energy from like their food. Their roots are like their mouths kind of, and they eat the food and they send it up via through the plant's stems. And so anyway, that's just one interesting fact. I think the process that plants use to make light into energy with their green substance is called, you ready for this? This is a big word. Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. If you tell your parents photosynthesis, they will be amazed. In fact, you should just go to your parents right now and say, "Hey mommy, hey daddy, guess what word I learned? I learned how to say photosynthesis." And they'd be like, "What? What does photosynthesis mean?" And you can tell them, "Well, let me tell you, photosynthesis is how plants get energy from the sun." And they would be amazed. So remember that word, photosynthesis. It's how plants get energy from the sun. All right, let's color in the bark. The bark, ruff, ruff. Not that kind of bark. The bark of the tree. Let's color in the bark of the tree. There we go. Let's color it brown all the way from the roots up to the branch